Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I'll sit right here probably. Oh, everybody's quiet. Well, good late afternoon, early evening to everybody. Welcome to the 17th annual Lott Impact Trophy under these unusual conditions. On behalf of our chairman, Mike Salmon, and our co-chairman, Steve Craig, and the entire board of directors of the Lott Impact Foundation, welcome to our 17th annual event under these unusual circumstances, but we do appreciate you being here. My job is to introduce our MC. I was charged with trying to find somebody better than we've had in the past. We wanted someone who was better looking, a better golfer, and knew more about college football than the guy we had last year. But trust me, there's nobody better looking or a better golfer, and certainly he doesn't know more about college football than our MC, and we're honored to have him back, Joel Klatt.
Oh, man. Another year. I made it. Thank you again, Pete, and everybody here with the Lott Award. This is always one of my favorite events, and I know it's going to look a little bit different this year, as we all know, but considering that the season almost didn't happen, I think I can speak for most of us that we're thankful that we're just at this point, ready to honor these 6 incredible athletes that had a terrific season, impacted their teammates, their coaching staffs, the support personnel of their programs, and their communities at large. You know, I got to see 3 of them in person, which is always fun, and then to come back and to honor them at this event. But it's always easy to just turn on the film in preparation for these games, and you're like, oh man, Joseph Ossai is really good. You know, you can see the explosiveness. All these players, you turn on a game on TV or just on film, you see the explosiveness, the speed, and the impact that they make almost play in and play out. There's no doubt. But for me, what is so fascinating is to visit the campuses, talk with the coaching staff and the people around the program to see what makes them so special off the field, or on a day-to-day basis that we maybe don't get to see on a Saturday. So what I did is I went back in the last week and a half and just started texting all the coaches and some of the support personnel around the program just to say, like, hey, give me some thoughts on this guy, right? So here's some of what I got. Here's a sampling of some of what I've got. I mentioned Joseph Ossai. So he's a terrific player at the University of Texas. I texted Michael Huff. Michael Huff, for the USC fans, you don't like him because he was an All-American and the Thorpe Award winner in 2005. Tough year for the Trojans, I know. But Texas won the national championship. Michael is now in the player development department for Texas, and this is what he said about Joseph Ossai. He said, Joseph is everything you look for in a player, a teammate, a student, and someone representing your school. One thing that really separates him is that's how he practices every single day in every single drill. It's one of those guys who sets a great example in everything he does, and because of that, he left a truly impactful legacy here at Texas. As a letterman, it makes me really proud seeing guys like that in our program. This coming from a guy that was drafted with the 7th overall pick in 2006. So Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern said this about Patty Fisher. He said his commitment to every part of the preparation necessary in order to trust himself at game speed against the best competition in the country is incredible. He leads by example every day in the locker room, on and off the field. He operates as another coach. He is relentless and attacks everything that he does. These are just some of the samples of the guys that we get to honor tonight. I loved this one, by the way, from Coach Helton about Talanoa Hufanga. He says, character, leadership, servant to his family and community. There are only a few times in a coaching career when you get to coach a player who is as special a person as they are a player. Talanoa made all of us better and set the example of what a Trojan should be. I can't think of a better way to be described by the man I played for as a player than the way that Coach Helton described Talanoa Hufanga. These players, all of them, were able to excel during the most challenging and unique season that any of us have ever come across. I know that's an understatement. Every week I would travel around, and I was blown away by the level of commitment needed by these players to just get through the daily protocols to practice. I don't think many of us quite understand almost all of these players, at least in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, and some, depending on the school and others. I know Alabama was part of this with Patrick Surtain. They would wake up and they would have to be in the building at 6 a.m. for their daily test. That's early for a college kid, right? And not only that, but the pressure of knowing that that test was in some way going to indicate to your teammates whether you were doing the right things off the field or not. It was like a daily indictment of what you were doing. It blew my mind, knowing what I'm sure all of us were doing as college-age kids. These guys and their level of commitment was impactful to me almost every single week. It was unprecedented. It made me really think every single week. I would tell Gus all the time. Most of you know I call games with Gus Johnson. We'd be sitting there in mostly empty press boxes, which never happens. So we would literally just like put on music in the booth. Maybe some of you saw we would like dance around, some poor dancing on my part, there's no doubt. But we would talk, and I kept telling him, I told him 4 or 5 different times, I'm like, you know what this year does? He was like, what? I said, it separates those that love football and their teammates and their craft from those that just love being a football player. And I thought it was a stark difference, you know, because you could see it. You could see it with some teams. You could see it with some players. Well, we've got 6 individuals that loved playing football, being committed to their teammates, being committed to their coaching staffs, their craft, everything that came with playing football in 2020. And as I was preparing for this, you know, I was thinking to myself, what do you say after a season like we had? What do you say, right? What do you say to try to honor these kids? And I finally wanted to try to define what I thought separated these 6 apart from just their play on the field. And to do that, I wanted to start with, you have to define what 2020 was, right? And maybe currently is, right? What our situation right now currently is. Some might even say like, hey, it's terrible, it's awful. And while that's certainly true, I think that there's a problem with defining our circumstances right now with those terms. And the problem with that is that there is an element of finality in those terms. That's a definition of an outcome, right? Not an event. How do we positively impact something that has already come to pass? How do we do it? Well, we can't. So you have to redefine it, okay? So the way you redefine it is, and I learned this really from Coach Meyer. Urban Meyer has been with Fox for the last couple of years. He left us for Jacksonville. Hopefully he has success. I'm not sure. We'll keep his seat warm. I don't know. But he used to talk to us all the time in our meetings about E plus R equals O. I don't know if many of you guys know that equation. Event plus response equals outcome. Okay, so here's what I think these 6 individuals did so well this year, is that they took this 3-step process and they implemented it throughout the entirety of their life, not just their circumstances as a player. I think this is the 3-step process. It starts with E plus R equals O, and it starts like this. You have to accept reality. Okay, that's the event. You have to accept reality. You have to properly view or define what's going on around you. Okay, and this is not just football. This is for all of us, right? This is for our normal everyday lives. You have to properly define the elements that are going on around you. And what this does is allows you to come to some sort of peace, and you understand what's going on around you. And if you can clearly identify it, then you can start to move forward. I think a better way to define 2020 or the circumstances that we find ourselves in is adversity. Not terrible or awful, it's just adversity. Why? Because we can still impact in adversity. See, adversity is defined by difficulties or misfortune. It's not an outcome. It's not blindly optimistic, denying the real hurt, hardships, and distress that's going on. However, it's not paralyzed by that hurt, hardship, or distress that's going on. See, that paralyzation prevents us from moving forward. Rather, finding peace with that with the uncontrollables allows you to move forward and derive some sort of purpose, and that's the second step. So you accept the reality of what's going on, and then you have clarity of purpose. That's the response. See, the power of purpose, I think, is much better than setting goals. Most of you, some of you maybe, have heard a lot about setting goals and the impactful nature of setting goals. I think having a purpose is much more impactful than setting goals. Why? Because goals are just an endpoint, whereas purpose is an everyday lived experience, okay? You control one of those, you don't control the other. Let me give you some examples. A goal, I want to lose 10 pounds. A purpose, I'm going to live the most healthy lifestyle I can possibly live. One I can control, one I can't. Okay, maybe I'm going to lose the 10 pounds, but maybe I'm not. I don't know if my body type can handle losing 10 pounds. Who knows, right? But I can control living the most healthy lifestyle I can possibly live. Goal, I want to be an All-American. That's great. You don't control the people who vote for the All-American team. But what you can control is a purpose, a daily lived experience. I'm going to be the best player I can possibly be, and I'm going to be better today than I was yesterday. Now that's a purpose. That's a purpose you can live into every single day. Here's one that I think all of us could potentially have. I want to have a goal. I want to have a significant impact on my community. That's all well and good. What's the standard for significance? It's different for all of us. It's a great goal, but it's different for all of us. How about this as a purpose? I will treat everyone around me as I want to be treated. That's a positive impact. That's something that you can live through. Now, when you do this, when you do those two things, you define the event, then you live through purpose, what happens is you start to trust your abilities, and that's the third thing, and that's what ultimately comes through and delivers an outcome, right? That's what delivers the O. A trust in a result of repeated actions. That trust, I think, is born out of something that was defined, I thought, most accurately by a book way back when called Good to Great by Jim Collins. I don't know if many of you have read it or not, but Jim Collins kind of talks about these two principles. Bear with me for a moment. If you have a hedgehog concept, a hedgehog, guys, is a very stubborn animal, right? And if a hedgehog concept is you find this one idea and you find this one purpose and you go after it with all of your daily purpose, right? You know, with all of your daily energy. And when you do that, what you start to do is you start to crank on this flywheel. Now, a flywheel is something that is very difficult to get started. And you've got to push and push and push and push and push and push just to move it a little bit. But then every little bit you move it, the next little bit becomes a little bit easier. Trust through lived experience. And then a little bit more. It becomes a little easier until you push it enough to where that experience starts to build its own momentum. And then the decisions that you make and the impact that you have in your community or around your entire life starts to flow out of just what you do and who you are as a person. I thought Jim painted that great. Now he's talking about businesses, but I think it goes to all walks of life. Your actions will build momentum and become a pattern for how you live and impact others around you. That's what these 6 did, okay? That's what these 6 did. And I think in the circumstances that they did it, it should really be celebrated. So that's what I want to do tonight, is try to celebrate these 6 finalists for the Lott Impact Trophy. This is a trophy that is near and dear to my heart because I've been around for a long time. You couldn't have found a better golfer, which is good. I'm going to continue to work on my short game, but also because of what it means to the college football community, okay? I talk with SIDs, sports information directors all over the country, and these guys talk about this award and the significance inside the programs because of what it means in terms of the type of person that is winning these awards. We've got NFL MVPs. We've got guys that are now defensive coordinators like DeMeco Ryans with the San Francisco 49ers. the list goes on and on and on. The quality of individual and player that is winning this award is second to none. And that's why I love coming back. So let's get to know and let me introduce our 6 finalists for the 2020 Lott Impact Award. Here they are, including Ronnie. Ronnie, thank you for joining us, my friend. And you know what I love about Ronnie? Just straight up black tie affair for him at home. I love it. That's phenomenal, Ronnie. We're going a little bit more casual, but we can't wait to get back to the black tie affair going on next year with this. So before I start asking questions to our finalists, let's introduce them first right now with Patty Fisher of Northwestern University. Got to call Patty's Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. Loved getting around him and his program. Up next, Talanoa Hufanga from USC. What an incredible year Talanoa had. One of the great stories in college football. I may have even kind of brought my seafoam green in today for Teron Jackson of Coastal Carolina. An All-American from Texas, Joseph Osai. The Butkus Award winner from Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And the SEC Defensive Player of the Year from the national champion Crimson Tide, Patrick Surtain. All right, there you have it, folks, our 6 finalists for the Lott Impact Award. And let's start. I want to ask a couple of questions of each of these guys. So let's start with, well, first let's get a reaction from Ronnie here on our 6 finalists. Ronnie, thank you for joining us, obviously. What are your thoughts on these 6 incredible individuals that we have here tonight?
Well, first of all, thank you, Joe. Thank you for who you are and all you're doing and what you do for college football. And then I also have to salute the young men and what they were able to do and what they've been able to accomplish. To me, it's phenomenal because when you think about good to great, and having to make the sacrifices that they made this year, to me, it's unbelievable that they actually made it through it. And so congratulations to them. And then lastly, which I think is something that is amazing, what is great? And how do you define great? You talked about good, but then there's this thing about great. And what I love is that great is John Hamilton. Great is all the things that he stood for. Great is why we're here tonight. And I just hope all of us understand that greatness is in you every day, but you got to exhaust every moment. That's my purpose. Exhaust every moment. Live with that and trust me and trust you that you can make so many things happen. So thank you again for being associated with this. Thank you for all of what we all do every day to make this world a little bit better. And thank you for the sacrifices. Man, I'm not there, but I'm there.
We feel your presence, Ronnie. Thank you. And there's no doubt that's one of the things, getting to know John, and of course plenty more to come, honoring John and his life later in the program. But one of the things that I think everyone in this room and associated with the award, including yourself, would be so proud of is the fact that John loved the fact that character mattered in this award. And that's something that is going to live on for years and years, there's no doubt. All right, let's meet these players now and get to know them a little bit better. Let's bring in Patty Fisher now of Northwestern. Patty was an All-American. He was the Big Ten linebacker of the year. He was a 3-time captain for Northwestern, a 2-time All-American. Wears number 42, which of course means a great deal there to the Northwestern Wildcats. Patty, you guys, I've seen you now twice in the last 3 years in Indianapolis. I know that is the big deal in the Big Ten. And to get to that Big Ten championship game, and you guys have won your division 2 out of the last 3 years. Now, in the middle there, you struggled that middle year. Take me through last offseason, as unique and crazy as it was. What allowed you guys to bounce back and have the terrific season that you had last season?
Thanks, Joe. Man, I look back and it was challenging, like you said. And to echo what you were saying earlier, E plus R equals O. And the event was, we were sent home. We didn't have, really any form of, brotherhood at the facility, working out together. We didn't have that camaraderie at the facility. So what we had to do, our response was accountability. And that started before we were sent home due to COVID, with just holding guys accountable in the weight room and in the indoor during our morning workouts and stuff. That was electing guys to, step into leadership position roles and get into more uncomfortable positions to lead the team, to lead the workouts, to lead our command sets in the weight room. And then when we got sent home, it was a different way of how to keep accountability of running. And what we had to do was reach out to teammates. I was FaceTiming guys. I was, texting guys, checking in on them, seeing how they were doing, seeing how our lifts were going. Just little things, trying to do my part to keep everybody accountable and to check in on guys as a captain of the defense and the captain of the team. It was tough, but that was the response. And, everybody just kind of bought in, and there wasn't any worries. We all knew that we were going to do our part and take care of business while we were at home.
I think what is fascinating and funny to me to think about is all of you college age kids trying to teach your coaches how to Zoom, because the coaches they technologically are just out to lunch in general. But your defensive coordinator, a guy I played with and loved dearly, Mike Hankowitz, has been a college football coach for 51 years. Hank has been doing this since, before whiteboards, before chalkboards. It was, yeah, so what was it like trying to Zoom with Mike Hankwitz?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as you think. He caught on pretty fast. He's a fast learner, and then he's got immense knowledge, as we know. Just learning his playbook and stuff wasn't as difficult as you think. He caught on very fast, and I was having troubles too. Even in this day of age and technology and stuff, I was having a bit of trouble too.
I always just immediately think to myself, I'm about to have to tell someone, like, unmute your mic real quick, because everyone starts to talk with their microphone muted. Now, speaking of Hank, I know, listen, you play for Pat, and he's a legend, and he's a great coach, right? Obviously, there's no doubt. But you guys had a little extra motivation, in particular at the end of the year. I mentioned your defense coordinator, Mike Hankwitz, 51 years as a college football coach. And he was sitting on 399 victories as a coach before that bowl game, and you guys were able to beat Auburn, win the bowl game, and give Hank his 400th win. What did that mean to you and your teammates?
Yeah, it meant everything. It meant the world. We were playing that season for him. We knew at the beginning of the year that he was gonna, say his goodbyes and enter into retirement after the season. So really, this season was for him. We wanted to get him back to the Big Ten championship and win the Big Ten championship and get him 400 wins. That was what we were telling guys in the locker room. That was what we were echoing on the defensive side and as a core, as a team. We wanted him to walk out of the building and enter into retirement with 400 wins.
Well, Patty, I speak for all of us. Heck of a year. Congratulations, and we'll get to you in a little bit. Let's bring up our next finalist from right here in Southern California. Terrific player, Talanoa Hufanga. Talanoa, what's going on, bud? How are you?
Not bad. How are you? Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. This is I've been on a Zoom now a couple of times with Talanoa, and normally he's got a tank top on, so he's dressing it up for us right now. I love it. He's showing all of us up. Gus even was like, "Hey, man, these guys all have bigger muscles than us." I'm like, "Yeah, they're college football players." Talanoa, great year, first of all. And you guys only played 6 games. And obviously with the slow start for the Big Ten and the Pac-12, I'm sure it was frustrating for you sitting at home watching games elsewhere in the country. And you and your teammates actually did something about it. And this is where that leadership and that impact off the field really came in. Talk to us a little bit about what you and your teammates were able to do in terms of sending the letter to the governor here in California and get the ball rolling to bring the Pac-12 to a point where you guys could even get onto the field and participate in the sport that you love.
Yeah, no, it was it was an unbelievable process just to kind of dodge and miss a lot of different things that, had come. First off, we have a season that's not even going to happen, and we're watching a lot of other teams be able to play. It was just a blessing for us just to get an opportunity. But we kind of had to push to start and kind of get the ball rolling. We kind of came together as a team, and for us, just as leaders on the team, we just try to make the most of our opportunities and try to send a letter. It was we wanted to at least try, and at the end of the day, it came in our favor, and we were blessed with this, and everything kind of held true to what we believed in.
And your reward was that we took your first game and Fox stuck you at 9 a.m. local. So congratulations on that. Although that was fun, you got to admit that was pretty fun, right? Even with nobody in the stands, that was a fun game. Of course, a nice win for you guys over Arizona State. You've had to overcome adversity in your career, and more specifically, injury adversity. In fact, you had surgery on your shoulder before this last season. What did all of that adversity teach you about yourself that allowed you to maintain your drive and ultimately have the success that you were able to have this season?
For me, it just kind of showed that I have great teammates. I have great people around me that kind of blessed me with this ability just to continue to move forward through tough times. I had a great coach, that mentored me a lot, and a great person that kind of pushed me to be the best person I could be, and a great family to surround me with. So, God has done a lot in my life, and I'll definitely just give him the glory and everything. but it's a tough. It's not easy. It's not an easy path. But as all these guys on this Zoom call, we've all dealt with it. I think football is 100% injury rate, and you watch these guys continue to do a lot of great things in their life on and off the field. And so it can't just be us. It's everybody in this game. It's a team sport for sure.
And lastly, for you, what did it mean for you to play with your cousins? Marlon Tuipulotu had a fabulous year up front, and then Tuli, his little brother, Tuipulotu, who is going to be a fantastic player moving forward on the defensive line. What was it like getting to play with those guys?
Well, it was a incredible honor. I played against my cousin, actually my older cousin in high school, against him actually, and being able to team up with him in college, and then the little brother be able to come on the field, and all of us to get to play on the field at once. It's a unbelievable place to be in. You kind of, especially with no fans, you gotta truly embrace those moments and make most of those memories. And we're just trying to put on for our culture and everything that we do, and we're just grateful for this amazing opportunity for sure.
So just between you and me, who's better, Marlon or Tuli?
I got to go with the older one.
There you go.
If I don't say that, I know he's gonna beat me up. So,
oh man, Marlon's a terrific player. There's no doubt. Talanoa, thank you, man, so much, and more from you in a little bit. Now let's go down to Coastal Carolina and bring in Teron Jackson. What a phenomenal year and story Coastal Carolina was. Teron, just bring us into the euphoric state, which was your entire season, right? I mean, we heard about you early, Coastal Carolina. You got a couple of big wins early, and then the momentum just never stopped. What was the season like for you?
Oh, man, the season was definitely amazing, man. But if you want me to be honest, man, it was the preparation getting into the season that I felt like what really made the season so amazing. You hear a lot of the other guys talking about just a lot of the adversity, man. We faced so much adversity going up to the season, man, not having nowhere to work out at home, work out gyms closed, having to work out with stuff around the house, Sometimes I was just home lifting blocks, doing whatever I have to do, running in the field, like anything we could. And then we was blessed to be able to come back, me and some of the older guys, some of the off-campus guys. And then our coach brought a weight rack in one of my team's living room. And we was in there, we lifting weights and they lifted the room. And doing it that we can. We doing box jumps on the back of the tailgate. It was just amazing, man. And then going into the season, man, we definitely caught a little momentum in the beginning. And I feel like the stuff that we went through before the season definitely brought us together, and whatever adversity that we faced in games, I feel like it just helped us to persevere through it.
Well, I mean, you went from box jumps into the tailgate to All-American Nagurski finalist. You were a grad student in applied math, so you're smarter than all of us in this room maybe put together. There's no doubt. Two-time captain. But do you have a favorite memory? It's easy for us to point at awards and maybe a big win here or there. But for you, what was your favorite memory from this season?
I would definitely have to say probably the BYU game. Just how much I seen the coaching staff working hard, and how the guys we just pulled together in that short amount of time to get that win, man. That one was special.
And that one came together late, if nobody remembers, but like all of a sudden, Coastal didn't have a game, and BYU was claiming they would play anybody, and all of a sudden the truck's going down, and then all of a sudden they're playing, and then it was a phenomenal game. It was a phenomenal game, there's no doubt. You've been instrumental in the success on the field for your team. However, you've been equally busy off the field as in terms of your impact with your charity work, charity events. Have you given any thought, and I know it's an awkward question, but have you given any thought to what your legacy is going to be at a place like Coastal where you're just starting to build something special as a football program?
Mm-hmm. I think the thing with me at Coastal, I think you can talk to any of my coaches or anything. Just my effort, day in and day out. I'm constantly competing with my teammates. I'm the guy that kind of never makes those excuses. I think that's what my legacy is going to be at Coastal, man. Just work hard and never make any excuses.
Well, it was fun to watch. There's no doubt about it. And not just your play on the field, but everything surrounding Coastal. So thank you, Teron, and more from you in a little bit. Let's go down to Texas now, and let's bring in Joseph Osai. Joseph faced a little adversity this year. He gets a brand new defensive coordinator, and that defensive coordinator says, hey, you're a great player. I want you to switch positions. And as any player, you know, in particular with your type of ability, Joseph, you probably were like, what are you talking about, man? So Chris Ash comes in as the defensive coordinator. He asks you to switch positions, and all you do is you turn in an All-American year. Phenomenal season, 55 tackles, National Player of the Week against Oklahoma with 12 tackles, 6 for loss, 3 sacks, a Bednarik finalist, and a word that Coach Ash always used in preparation for your games with us as a television crew, and I know you didn't know this, but he said elite. And I said, well, what about him is elite? And he said, everything. Everything about Joseph Osai is elite. Take me through the position change. What was that like? Did you have any apprehension when they asked you to do it? And ultimately, are you happy that you did?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And it's amazing to be on there with all these amazing guys. You know, I just watched the highlight, and these are some of the guys I've during the season I've watched and try to model some of my game after. So it's amazing to be here. And secondly, no, I didn't have any apprehension because I just love the game of football, and I always joke about it. I always tell them, if you wanted me to play safety and you stuck me back there, I'll do it. You know, just tell me what to do. So I love the game of football, whether it's playing inside, outside, on the line. I just want to do it. Just tell me how, and I'll work, and I'll try to tune my craft and tune my skills to be able to be the best player I can be for my team. So that came pretty easily, and I was just happy to be involved in Coach Ash's defense because he's a great guy. He really believes in it. If you work hard enough and you focus in on the details and you rep it over and over again, it's going to come naturally in the game. And for me, that happened a lot in games like Oklahoma State, where I was able to close out the game and give my team a well-deserved victory. So it was an overall great guy, overall great scheme, and overall great season, I would say.
Well, at 6'4", 253 pounds, you would have been the most feared safety since Ronnie Lott. There's no doubt about that, right? I think we all are in agreement. Now, you have an unbelievable backstory, and there's not enough time, you know, to get into everything, but a very 30,000-foot view. You and your family come over from Nigeria. You were 10 years old, and that's when you first saw American football, you know, what we just refer to as football on TV. Yeah. Do you remember what your thoughts were? Like, did you immediately gravitate towards it? Did you wonder why all these people were using their hands? And when did you fall in love with the game to the point where you could become a great player?
I remember my first reaction when I saw the game. I was confused because it looked like rugby, but not quite, you know. So I was just very thrown off. But thankfully, my uncle, who we were staying with at that point, was able to talk me through the very basic rules of the game. And I just remember, I think I saw a receiver catch the ball and run it in for a touchdown. I remember the whole stadium erupting, and I sat there and thought to myself, I want to control that kind of emotion in a crowd. You know, I want to control that kind of passion in a game. And from then on, I just started watching the game so much. I started being eager. And I unfortunately, my family wasn't well off for me to play Little League football, so I was just waiting, counting on the years till 7th grade when I was finally able to play football in the school. But that was definitely when I first fell in love with the game, for sure.
So you talk about wanting to control the crowd, and yet there we were this year, and I did a couple of your games, 3, I believe, with no one there. you know, and I mean, it was the most strange year, obviously, for us in the booth. What was it like for you to be down there and playing in such a quiet environment?
Yeah, and this year was so different in every way you could think of, you know. And I think first I want to give props to my teammates for being able to adapt to that situation. You know, Texas, if you've ever played in Texas, I'm sure USC, the game my freshman year against USC, the stadium was rocking, and you go from that to what we had this year. You know, it's definitely a difference, but I would say during the game, you kind of shut everything else down, and it's just a bunker with you and the guys. And I think that's what we try to stress this year, you know, bring your own juice. is what we would say all the time in the weight room. Bring your own juice, because there's nobody out there cheering you on. It's you and your guys, you know, who wants it more, stuff like that. We had to really focus in on the guys on the field and doing it for those guys, doing it for the coaches, doing it for our family, and just finding a way to extract extra juice from things around you.
Well, you definitely brought it, my man, and congratulations on a great year, and more from you in a little bit. Let's go now to Notre Dame and bring in terrific Rover, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Jeremiah, you had a fabulous year. Thank you for joining us, my man. And I don't know if you know this. Maybe you guys do internally, because at Notre Dame, and trust me, I work with Brady Quinn, so he's constantly talking to me about Notre Dame. So I know you all know your own history. But did you know that this year, winning 10 or more games, and you went 10-2, it was the first time in the Irish's history that you won 10 or more games in 4 consecutive seasons, and you were part of that legacy, Jeremiah. What does that mean to you?
That's crazy just hearing those statistics. Man, first of all praises to the Most High for even just allowing me to be up for this such a prominent award that, you know, acknowledges us not only as players, but, you know, as what we do off the field as well. Just hearing those statistics, just hearing those statistics and just what it means to be a part of that Golden Domer history, being placed in a position in which I can go back and, you know, tell my kids, you know, it means a lot. So,
you were ranked anywhere coming out of high school, and I'm sure you know this because, listen, all of us know. Like, I had to walk on. All of us know where we stood coming out of high school, and I'm sure you were the same. You were ranked anywhere from the 28th to 83rd best safety in America. Here you sit in front of us tonight as the All-American Buckus Award winner up for the Lott Impact Trophy. What inside of you was able to persevere and develop to become the player that you are today?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when, you know, thinking about, you know, all that I've been through is one of the acronyms actually for impact. The first one, which is integrity, you know, just meaning that, you know, when people are not looking, when people are not paying attention to you, the things that you do that show your character, and the things that you do that separates you from other players. You know, and that's just working hard and making sure that you do the small things to make you excel, to which, you know, people can't, you know, it can't go unnoticed. So.
And Jeremiah, the last thing I wanted to ask you is, what does it mean to you to be a part of that Notre Dame history and tradition? Because like I said, Brady talks to me about it all the time. So I just want to hear from you. What does it mean to be a Golden Domer?
Yeah, it's special. You know, it's so many great guys that have came before you. So many guys that look towards you and say, hey, you did it just like I did it. You know, I was just speaking to Jalen Smith the other day as he's here in Texas as well. And just hearing it from those guys, it really puts another chip on your shoulder that you already have, you know, going into the next level and just walking, you know, about in your day-to-day life. So, you know, it's a blessing for sure.
Awesome. Jeremiah, it's great to get to know you. Best of luck. More from you in just a little bit. Now let's go and visit the Thorpe Award finalist, the national champion, Patrick Surtain from Alabama. Patrick, what's going on, man? How are you tonight?
How you doing? Thank y'all for having me on the show.
Absolutely. You had a phenomenal year, and you have been able to stand out in a program that is very difficult to stand out in. You guys are doing things that are totally unprecedented in the history of college football. Your 6 national championships under Nick Saban, you know, playing for all the national championships. In fact, you can't find a class of incoming Crimson Tide players that have not won a national championship under Nick Saban since his 2nd year. It's staggering stuff. And yet, you're sitting here tonight as someone that has stood out from something that is so great. What has allowed that to happen for you, where you have been able to rise up surrounded by a program that is so great?
Like you said, man, Alabama is such a prestigious school, you know, high talented players and great coaching. But, you know, it all starts with the preparation and the hard work you put in each and every day in practice, in the weight room, all the off-season stuff. You know, that's what leads to such high accolades. And, you know, just being a part of that tradition and part of that university is a big honor.
And your team did some things that Nick's teams have never done, and some things that teams in the history of the sport have never done. Here's some of the things. You were the first team to win 11 conference games and win a national championship, and you did that in the SEC. And I wanted to mention that because if I didn't, I'm sure you would. You were Nick Saban's only his second undefeated national championship team, and widely considered, and I certainly agree with this and have said it on many outlets before, I think you're one of the best teams that I've seen in the history of the sport. How did you do that in the middle of a year in which was completely chaotic?
You know, it all starts with, our goals. We set our goals high in the offseason. That main goal is win the national championship, but also, the camaraderie, the brotherhood we have in the locker room, that leads to all the team success, and the practice each and every day, like I said, the weight room, the offseason, the hard work, the grit, it leads to big moments like that. And, be able to finish a year off strong in such circumstances, it was a special team and a special run.
Your coach says it this way, and I bet you've heard this 1,000 times. He says, worry about the things you can control in your life, both professionally and personally. Don't worry about whether or not people like you or get anxious about an impending situation. You can't control these things. How many times have you heard something or something like that from Coach Saban in your time there in Alabama?
I've heard it a lot. Coach Saban, he's such a great coach, but he's there for you all the time. And he also, gave the team so much motivation throughout the season. Hearing his voice each and every day, all the quotes he said, it really, stand out towards this season just because it was so different. And, he motivated us each and every day, to succeed and be great, even on the field and off the field.
All right, oblige me here because I said you guys were one of the best teams that I've seen in college football history. Offensively, defensively, you had it all. We just saw one of the great teams in the history of this sport in 2019, the team you guys actually played, LSU, with Joe Burrow as their quarterback. Of course, Mac Jones had a great year for you guys this year. So if we could have seen the 2020 Crimson Tide against the 2019 Tigers, come on, tell me what's going down in that matchup.
I say get your popcorn ready. I know we coming out victorious though. It'll be a great game. LSU, they had a great year last year, a great team, but this year we had an even great team as well. So it'll be a great matchup to watch.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Patrick, congratulations on a phenomenal season. Obviously, a Thorpe Award finalist, Bednarik Nagurski finalist, projected first-round NFL pick, 42 tackles, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, All-American. The list goes on and on. Terrific year, man. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, let's get this show on the road here. Let's announce our 17th winner of the Lott Impact Trophy. I'm going to bring up the two Steves. All right, Steve Craig, Steve Powlin, come on up. I got it right here. Fellas, congratulations. Great year. And here we go.
And this year's winner for the 17th Annual Pacific Club Impact Award, after Ronnie Lott, Patty Fisher, Northwestern.
Thank you so much. Joe, can you hear me?
We got you, bud.
Good.
Congratulations.
Good. Thank you so much.
Have at it. What do you
Thank
have
you.
to say?
Thank you. I'm extremely honored, and extremely blessed too. I just think about what you said earlier. E plus R equals O. As student athletes and athletes in general, we go through a lot, not even on the field. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, but more so off the field, with family, with friends, with school, with whatever the case may be, performance pressures. And, everybody in this room has really shown what it is to lead on and off the field and respond to every outcome or to every event, to make the most of every outcome. I just can't echo it hard enough that character matters. I heard you say that earlier in this show. You know, it really is such a big thing. You know, what you do on the field is seen by everybody, but what you do off the field is really seen by you. And you know, that's what matters the most, is what you do off the field. And character is something that is somewhat lost in today's society. You know, we don't see a lot of it. We don't see, you know, the high character people doing the things off the field and having that high integrity. You know, so with that being said, I'm extremely blessed and honored to have received this award. Thank you very much.
Well, Patty, congratulations. If we could bring up all the finalists one more time, if you don't mind, Patty, Talanoa, Tehran, Joseph, Jeremiah, Patrick. Guys, I know that this has been a weird year, and trying to do this via Zoom is not easy. I want to, again, congratulate all of you on a phenomenal football season, more so on the people and men that you are and what you will be moving forward. And we all just want to give you a big round of applause on a wonderful season. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations again to Patty Fisher, our 17th winner of the Lott Impact Trophy from Northwestern University. Okay, here in Southern California, we're going to go outside because it's not freezing cold and have a little dinner. So I'll let you guys go. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.